The cultural enthusiast and musician Mbuso Khoza returns to the Wits Theatre Hall on the 13th of October to stage the 4th Amahubo Symposium, set to preserve our heritage and encourage Africans to be proud of who they are and where they come from. Making it on the lineup is Nduduzo Makhathini, is a jazz musician, pianist and composer, and he will present on music and healing. Xolani Zondo from KZN Department of Education will be presenting on the sacred aspects of Zulu dance, and Kholeka Shange, PhD candidate from Wits University, who will take the audiences through the role that Princess Magogo played in ascribing value in heritage. Mbuso is here joining us this morning to tell us all about this. It's great to have you on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, I want to talk about how we go about preserving culture, especially in a world that dictates that, we should be adjusting ourselves to be more modern and to be more Western. And why is it important for African people to maintain their cultural traditions?
I think one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves, what is the distinction between history, culture, and heritage? But history comes in as an intervention to document occurrences, and later culture is born. But because of time and evolutions, things changes. This is why things like umqhele that I'm wearing today serves as a heritage, because culturally this is how we used to, wear things and design, our fashion. So now I think we need to have good intentions when we are safeguarding our heritage.
So once we understand that there are differences between, these three things,
yes.
What would you say is the main function of culture? And how does culture have an impact on how we identify with ourselves and how we live our lives?
I think it's values. Growing up, we would go maybe in preparation for umemulo. We sing and dance until maybe 1 a.m. with women, young ladies and young boys. And then after we would accompany them to their homes. Not even one woman would be raped. So I would say culture is the yeast of the community. If we make time to study about who we are, I think we won't be ruled by any ideology. I think especially in South Africa, we are faced with so many things like women abuse. I think we need a cultural intervention, because when you look at how things are done now, a young lady would be taken through the stages, but what is being done to a young boy? Nothing. So this woman is being prepared culturally for a guy who is not even inclined to his values. So I think culture is the yeast of the nation, and instrumentalizing culture through music as well, because how we used to pray in the olden days, there was a music called Amahubo. Each and every household has that kind of a song, even before we go to understand the Bible. So those songs, they also carry messages that build communities. But when you look at us culturally now, you check the message, you look at the music videos, it doesn't speak to our values.
Let's talk about this symposium and the people that you have on this lineup. Take us through what has been planned for audiences on the day, and what we'll be experiencing.
Amahubo Symposium to take place at Wits Theatre tomorrow. What will happen? There will be different presentations by academics around the topic of Amahubo. Xolani Zondo from the Department of Education will present a sacred aspect of a Zulu dance. We've seen so many times when you have international guests coming here, and then you ask Tswana dancers, Zulu dancers, and then they dance. You ask yourself, is that not a dehumanization of our culture? Because when you go overseas, maybe America, you'll never meet spiritual singers waiting for you. Swing or chariot. No, they protect their culture. And we take orchestras and operas on bigger stages and dehumanize our cultural music. So, and then after Kholeka Shange will present the role of Princess Magogo in heritage, because she's a PhD student at Wits. So it's going to be a beautiful day, and then after that we'll have Heritage Orders Awards. We will honor Ubaba Madala Kunene with an order of Umkhumbane, Dr. Mbongeni Ngema with the order of Uthulezikhe, and then we will honor posthumously Ubama Ubusi Mhlongo.
Now, Amahubo, the symposium itself has been running for 4 years now.
Yes.
Just take us through just some of the feedback that you get that, you know, sort of help you also plan for the next and the next one.
I have realized that people were looking for such information for a very long time, but they didn't know how to acquire. So over the years, when you look at how Amahubo have been demonized, because at school people were more interested, or classical music was more promoted, and with the music with a sense of decorum, and then our music that is indigenous is like, it's a thing that should be practiced in the bushes. So I think it has found its place in people's hearts. And judging by the shows as well that we've been doing in preparation for the symposium, it's amazing that sometimes you plan your show, it's going to be 1 hour, 30 minutes, and you end up doing 4 hours because people are not ready. Yeah, so that's a feedback I can say I have got.
Yeah, very quickly, just to close it off, Mbuso, what do you say to the people who demonize certain aspects of our culture and traditions? I'll give you an example. You spoke about Omemulo earlier on, and how girls would be bare-chested, and yet no girl got raped in the olden days. And yet today, perhaps, you know, you'll find people who say the, you know, toxic masculinity is owed because young girls are treated like, you know, nothings in culture. Why are girls the ones bearing their bodies and showing off their bodies and not their male counterparts? And that might lead to rape.
You know, there's a problem when people criticize some things that they have no idea of its history. Because especially with the red dance, and the testing of virginity, I would say that particular culture is not about bodies, but it's about the future of that kid. Look at in modernity, early pregnancy. If these girls would maybe abstain from sex until the age is maybe of 30, they won't have unnecessary expenses when they're growing up, and they are safe from diseases. But I think, again, we have to criticize ourselves, because culturally, all these rituals and ceremonies have been positioned as if it's something that is superior, and only women should practice them, and our daughter should just come in and watch. So we need to emphasize that ceremonies like Mbuso Khoza, it's not a ceremony of bodies, but it's about the preservation of our culture, and also teaching young girls to abstain from sex so that they are safe from diseases. And I think that's what we should teach our kids as well, not telling them, if you don't test, you won't get married. We should stop teaching our kids that marriage is an achievement.
All right, Mbuso, that's where we'll have to leave it. There will be more tomorrow at the Amahubo Symposium out at the Wits Theatre. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a great pleasure. Well, that's where I will leave it for the moment. The Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Mthethwa, will deliver the keynote address at the 2019 Amahubo Symposium organized by Mbuso Khoza, who was just speaking to us here in studio. It is the 4th edition, and it intends to reignite ancient songs, preserve the country's heritage, and encourage Africans to stay true to their identity. I'll take you back now to Simpiwe. We'll take a look at